So, hello and welcome along to another edition of Isolation Interviews here on Hospital Radio Reading, and of course for my YouTube channel. And I'm super excited to be joined by a very talented actor in the form of Don Warrington. Thank you so much for joining me.
It's my pleasure. My pleasure. How are you?
I'm not doing too bad, thank you. I mean, how have you been? How have you been?
I've been fine. It's been obviously a very interesting couple of years. COVID and everything else. It's been. I didn't feel that affected by it. Obviously, one was concerned that there are lots of things were happening in the world that weren't very pleasant. But in terms of how it affected me personally, I didn't really mind lockdown all that much. I got a bit fed up with it towards the end, but I think the life of an actor is a strange one in that we do spend a lot of time on our own, really. So we don't do a 9-to-5 job, so we're used to being at home when we're not working. So in that way, it wasn't hugely different.
I mean, did you find yourself, in the height of the lockdowns, learning any new skills, doing anything that you hadn't done before?
Well, that's always the hope, isn't it? That we're going to use the time really productively. I don't think I learned anything I didn't do before. I thought about it. I thought that I would learn a foreign language, but I never seem to find the time to do it, to get on with it. I think if we have another lockdown, and I'm hoping we don't, that will be my task, to learn another language.
I mean, the other, sort of positive, I'd say, to come from this, awful time has been the gratitude that people have kind of, not necessarily over the years forgotten about the NHS, but that they're back in the forefront of our minds. And I mean, obviously they do a fantastic job and, they are amazing, but I mean, what's your kind of opinion been of the work that they've been doing?
Well, it's incredible. It's incredible. The dedication, the application, the NHS is an amazing organization. And I think that what was nice about it was the fact that people celebrated it. But what I hope is that people don't forget about it. It's an organization that we need to treasure, to look after, to make sure people who work in it are rewarded for the work they do. Because it's without them, I don't know where we would be as a country. So I think it needs protecting. We need to guard against any attempt at privatizing it in any way. We found out how good they were in times of crisis. Let's not forget about them when that crisis is no longer going on.
Now, I wanted to go back, of course, to sort of where it all began for you. I mean, where did the kind of interest in acting come from? Where did that all grow from for you?
I don't know. I always wanted to do it. I think the story I tell, and I believe it's not one I've invented, but it's true, is that when I was a very small boy living in Trinidad, and I left Trinidad when I was very young. So in many ways, this memory doesn't make a great deal of sense, but it works for me. I remember going to see an Asian movie. And those films tend to be very romantic, full of music and daring do and all that kind of thing. And I saw people going through very, very big emotions. And I thought as I sat there in the dark, I thought, well, that's what I'd like to do. I'd like to go through all those kinds of emotions. And it seemed to me the way to do it was to try and create people who went through that kind of thing, and that was the movies. So that's as I remember it, that's what spurred me on to become an actor.
And I mean, of course, you've done, live, you've done, obviously, sort of TV work. For you, is there one that you prefer, or do you love the fact that you can kind of mix it up and do a bit of everything?
Well, I think it depends what you're doing in it. When it's, I mean, the theatre is in a way more demanding in that you have to sustain a performance over several hours. Whereas film and television, you do a take for a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, or whatever it is, and then you stop. That asks for another kind of concentration. But in the end, I think I love doing them all. The theatre is terrifying, but once you get over the terror, it's good.
I mean, do you remember the first time you were on stage and your first kind of big performance, and how were you feeling?
Well, I think the first time I remember being on stage was at school, and we were doing, I think we were doing a kind of a ghost story, and the character I played had to be very, very frightened indeed. And I remember the local bishop coming to see the play. It was a Catholic school, and he told me that he really believed I was terrified. I took that as a positive sign that I knew what I was doing. Yeah, that was the first performance I remember. I had a big performance. Well, that would have been after I'd left drama school and started working professionally. I think on stage, it was a play called The Banana Box, which was my first job after drama school. That was quite big, and it was, I think at that age I wasn't, I mean, I was nervous, but it was a kind of innocent nervousness, because, well, I didn't know what to expect. I just went on and did it. But it was after that one begins to see the big picture. But I don't recall being that nervous, really. I get more nervous since then.
And I mean, obviously, over the years, you've done so many amazing projects. Is there one that you're particularly proud of, one that maybe sticks in your head as a firm favourite, or one that you were just so honoured to have been a part of?
Well, it's when you're doing them, they're the most important thing in the world. I suppose the thing that I enjoyed most would be the last play I did on stage, which was a play called Death of the Salesman. And I found that very challenging and also very, very satisfying.
And I mean, the other thing I wanted to also, of course, talk to you about is Death in Paradise, which has been a huge part of your life for over 10 years now that show's been going on. For you,
Yes.
When that first came around, what were your kind of first thoughts of this show? Did you think it would ever be the success it's gone on to be?
No, I didn't. One never knows how these things work out. I thought it was I thought the part was interesting, and when we first started, I wasn't in them all. I enjoyed coming in, doing a few scenes and going away again, because I I did other things at the same time. I had no idea how it would be received. And I'm constantly amazed at how successful it is. Really, who knew? Who knew?
And I
It
mean,
was just,
I was going to say the amazing thing is with the show is obviously, you know, the cast has changed over the years. I mean, I spoke a couple of months back to Danny John, who of course, you know, played Dwayne, you
yeah,
know, and it's just that the cast continually changes, but
yeah.
still the kind of the fundamental premise of the
I,
show remains.
I think that it can sustain changes. I think it's the structure of the piece, what it's about, which has a sort of universal appeal, and also, of course, it's in a glorious location. But I think just the format of the thing works very well.
I mean, as I say, you must love you know the filming abroad, and that must have been tricky over the last sort of couple of years with COVID and everything that's been
Oh,
around. So I mean, have there been kind of nerves of of going abroad to film, or has that been quite nice to kind of get away and you know see different places when otherwise you'd be stuck at home?
yeah, well, I think it's quite nice. I mean, obviously, you have to get there, you have to be careful, and you have to do all the tests. But you know, when you get there, the fact is that you live outside, more or less, and that makes a huge difference. You don't feel the claustrophobia in the same way you would do in England. Everybody's outside. The only time you're inside really is to sleep, because of the weather. And you're sort of living in nature because it's all around you. It's in the cicadas at night. It's in the chickens in the day. It's here. It's in the fact that the grass grows so quickly. It's just there, and you're bombarded by how powerful nature is, and that's so. In that sense, you feel part of something, whereas one can be a little more detached in England. So in that sense, it was a big change, and welcome for all that.
I mean, I imagine it must take up, quite a bit of your schedule. I mean, how long do you normally tend to find yourself out there for when you're filming?
Well, this time we went out in May, and I came back. It's now December, whatever date it is. I came back on the 4th of December, so that's 6 months. So that's half a year.
And I mean, of course, this year we get a Christmas special, which I believe is the first time this has ever happened for Death in Paradise. So that must be quite exciting.
It is. It's we did a 90-minute story. So we've given it the grand treatment, really. We've so it'll be interesting to see how it goes down.
Now, I just want to say it's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for giving up your time to talk to me. But before we go, is there any messages you'd like to give to any of the patients who are currently in hospital and not having the best of times? Anything you'd like to say to them?
Yes, I think I'd like to say, I'm sorry you're there. I hope you're not there for long, but I hope while you're there, you manage to have the best possible time that you can. And I wish you better. I wish you better soon.
Thank you so much, Don. It's been an absolute pleasure. Of course, keep safe. And hopefully we'll speak again one day.
You too. Good to talk to you.